Hello and welcome to Qsports. I'm Mudu Kajaga and thank you for joining us. Coming up this morning, my special guest is Abdul Jammeh. Abdul Jammeh, commonly known to many as T-Boy, he's the assistant coach of the Gambia national team, the Scorpions, or if you like, one of the assistant coaches. He used to play for the national team. He used to captain the national team, played more than a decade with the national team and achieved a lot. Yes, fine, he may not qualify with the Gambia national team to the Africa Cup of Nations or the World Cup. But in terms of results, matches he played in, matches they won, and also captaining the team, all those are things that we are going to talk about on this morning's Qsports program. First, I'll turn to my guest, Abdul Jammeh. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Kajaga. It's a pleasure to be here and good to having me on the show for the first time, probably.
I've been a great admirer of yours. I've watched you play. I've been at the stadium so many times, yelled your name, you know, where things are good and things are bad sometimes. You were at the heart of the defense. You captained the national team. Take us through your football in the early days, even well before joining the national team, and then we'll come into the national team.
Actually, football is not like, I think I always say to people, like, I come to football like by accident because I wasn't never focusing on football as my career. With my background as my father is a former golfer, so I was more passionate in golf than the footballing aspect. But the footballing part was like I started from Steve Biko, like playing for Steve Biko, but the dream more came live when I started playing for zonal team for Sanyang. I will say that at least motivated me a lot. I played in the first zonal district tournament against Gunjur and winning the final against Katong. Then that year I came back to play for Luxury in the second division. Then I get promoted to the Steve Biko first team. So the things journey started like that. Then I started having the passion in football, but it was never like my number one sport. It was like accident. I just came into football. Even that's how I became professional. Also, was not like something I deserved because even for the travel for the first time to abroad came like a surprise to me because it was meant for somebody else, like other players, but unfortunately they could not afford the flight tickets to travel. So I was able to gather some money to pay for myself. That's how the luck came in. So by accident, football like just came to me like that.
Wow, what a roller coaster story! Getting into football by accident and then yet achieving so much. Did you miss your football? Do you look back now with the national team as assistant coach and look at the players you wish, I wish that was me?
No, right now, I said to many, like for instance, for now, if my focus is more on my coaching career, I just try to forget about anything about the professional, my footballing career, or even like a former captain of the national team. Immediately I'm on the pitch or I'm at the national team camp, I focus on my role as an assistant coach. Now I'm more focused on the coaching aspect of the playing part, so I don't want to remember the history more on that. I want to have achievement under my coaching part now than the footballing aspect of it.
Yeah. Take us through your professional career. You've played in several continents. Yeah. You've played in Africa, you played in Asia, you played in Europe several years. How was it like?
I would say it was like a good and bad journey. So the first journey started from Tunisia, through Steve Biko. Then from there I moved to in Tunisia. Even I won the FA Cup with Tunisian Esperance Judges. Then also played the African Club Championship. From there, then I think after that I went to Russia to play 2 years in Russia. Then came back to Belgium. Then from Belgium, Cyprus. Then I came back to Gambia. It was a bitter story, that one, because yes. I will say in my career that was my biggest mistake I made when I terminated my contract from Russia at the Torpedo Moscow, because the team relegated to the second league. So they wanted to loan me to Himki, but then I was very young, so people were telling me that you have to come to Central Europe so that you can make it to the Premier League and all those stuff. So that was the wrong decision I made. So then I came to Leeds in Belgium. The sad story started there with the past history of the former coach, that's Paul Put. I think many people know this history. So then at some point I was like, the club put me under pressure that whether I played for the national team or I have to stop playing for the national team or focus on the team. So then I have no option but to play for the national team. Then they put me under the fridge. I was playing with the U23. At some point I just terminated my contract, sacrificed to come back to Gambia to start playing again with Steve Biko. I think that year we won the league, and then from there I have an offer to go back to Kuwait. Yeah, but I will say the national team gave me all those opportunities because through my national team caps and games I have with the national team, everybody was watching me from afar. So then coming back to Gambia wasn't a problem for me because I know I have made a good CV for myself, and my performance on the pitch, any scout can have no doubt on my performance to take me to any team. So that I sacrificed, I came back to Gambia, then started again, then I moved to Kuwait. Then that's how the journey proceeded. Then from there I moved to Qatar, then to Finland, then I ended my career in 2017 in Malaysia.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're somebody who played at the professional level for several years. Every dream of a footballer is to become top level. So when I mean top is to play in the top 5 leagues. What happened along the way? I know football, yes, you can have 100,000 footballers. Maybe it is only 100 who would have the opportunity to play either Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Italian Serie A, or the French League. So I know it's difficult. But for you, what has been? Is it because the opportunities were not there, or is it?
No, at some point the opportunities were coming, but before it's difficult, it's different from now. No. Before it's very difficult, definitely you have to have because I have some time on offer from Sunderland, which after playing against Senegal, not even I make a wrong choice there because I have 2 options to go to play for Terek in the Russian Premier League. Then because one agent told me that they want to take me to Sunderland, so I have to make a decision. So. But that doesn't materialize, but it will have to come with the caps. Then it was difficult.
Yeah, in England, yeah, even to get the work permit, yeah.
Yeah, that was the problem. Then I could not make it. But it's like I would say also with for us our time, it's like even now for African players, it's very difficult also because you have to have a good you have to be like at a good level or be lucky to play a tournament that make a good access for you to be in the Premier League. But it's not that easy also. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of national team. Your role in the team was a defender, but you were at some point the leader. Yes, of course, like many young players would come into the team as young, and then years later with their experience, as the older generation fades away, then you become one of the leaders of the team and became captain. Your role as a defender, sometimes you do get stick. If the team lose, it is either the defender didn't take his man or the defender failed to clear the line or something like that. How would you sum up your
this is something we take it in good faith because sometimes, people talk about football, but it's also good to know how football works because if you talk about defense, like sometimes people forget that if you said defense in football, it doesn't mean the only back 4 and the back 5. So it's the whole setup. So sometimes, how we considered goals, we know that it's not the good. It's not like the best way, but you cannot blame it to one person or 2 person. But collectively as a team, sometimes we reflect back on these issues. But it's football. We try to, but you remember this is national team also. You don't have many times like days to work with the defenders or the team. So we have like 2-3 days to work with the team. So it's difficult to rectify everything within a space of 1 day. It's not like if you have a club team. So it's very difficult. But we take it in a good faith. And like I always say to people, failure or losing a game, it doesn't mean it's the end of the life, but you just learn from those mistakes and try to rectify. That's what we are doing now. You can see sometimes we have stability in the team, but the other thing also is very difficult because the balance in the team also sometimes affect the team, the leadership. Like you can see the last 2 games whereby when we miss the Umar and Sheriff, so it's like difficult to have the back 4 playing for maybe consecutive times. So sometimes that can also be factor. Okay. People have to put into consideration also.
Exactly. Yourself, during your playing days, you faced lots of top African footballers. Yeah. Stephen Beer, in fact, one of the famous pictures where you exchange the captain badges, your national team badges between the 2 of you when they came here to play in the AFCON qualifiers. Some other players like Karim Ziani and then so many others that you played against. Tell us about that at the time, because these are people, yes, some of them played in the Premier League, some of them played in the La Liga, but when you come onto the pitch, you're representing your country. It doesn't matter their level. So you give your best for your country because you want to see your country perform to higher level.
Personally, I will say this to young kids now because when we are playing, there's not a lot of statistics like nowadays. You see everything before the game. But personally, what I did before when I was playing, I will always try to watch the video. It takes, sometimes it will take me the whole night to watch one player. Like for instance, when we are playing against Ivory Coast or we're even playing against Senegal, I have to watch their game, to watch the strike, focus on the strike I'm going to have before the game in advance. So that's how I always prepared my game before. But it's different from nowadays, whereby the statistics, we do everything before in advance to give it to the players. But that was my secret before. Before any game, I know the strikers I'm facing, so I'm ready in advance before meeting them.
Okay. Playing at home, is it a huge pressure? Is it sometimes better off as you players, you go and play away somewhere where your fans would not be calling your name, where you would not be under pressure that much? What's the difference?
No, there's nothing like home games. The home games are everything, because I remember myself, like my grandfather, he loved football a lot. So anytime I came to play for Gambia, that's the first thing. Even I go to him before the game, he will be always like proud to see me play representing the national team. So it's like every player want to play for your national team, especially playing at home. Your family and friends are around to represent your nation. It's the best thing you can have as a player.
Okay. You've scored some goals playing for the national team, most of them headers. Take us through those goals. You scored against Morocco, you scored against Namibia, and then what's the other goal again that you scored? You also scored against Niger in a friendly.
That I will say that my aerial duels power, that I will say it goes back to when I started playing my career in Tunisia, because playing in francophone countries or Arab countries, you have to be very good in the aerial duel. So I have worked that very hard when I was with them there, because when I came first, my aerial duels were not good. At some point, they have to play me as a right back, but I have to develop during the way. At the second season, I was at my best, so then I started playing regularly on the central half. So I think that paid the dividend. And also when I moved to Russia, also it's very physical, direct straight balls are coming. So the aerial duels, I will say it goes down to playing in Tunisia and as well as in Russia as well.
During your time, the Gambia had near misses in terms of qualification. Even in fact, I remember when we were grouped against Senegal in the group, we did so well. In fact, we did better than Senegal. At some point also in one of the qualifiers, we were in the same group with Cameroon, 2015. We played very well against them here at the stadium, and all of a sudden, it takes one Vincent Abubakar brilliance to decide the game at home. Looking back at those, how do you reflect?
Yeah, my reflection now, when I get closer to the national team now, I see the kids now, how they are performing and how they are behaving at the national team. I feel like before our national team, when we are playing, the discipline wasn't there. So if you say discipline, doesn't mean like attitude also. It have to come overall as how we played and how do we do things. So our games, when we are playing, there was no discipline in our game. So we just play. We don't respect any opponent. We play like however we want to play. I think that is changing now. We're looking at getting closer to the kids now, watching them how they behave on training ground and how they perform, how they listen to instruction. Is different from our generation. So that also is a big factor why we could not make that highs with all the talents we have in the team. The discipline wasn't there then.
Okay. Do you think we could have achieved more, or let's say you could have achieved more during your time with a little bit of luck? Because sometimes there's this argument that in football, yes, you need to work hard, you need to focus, you need to have team cohesion. You also need even some brilliant players who can decide a game in your team. Like maybe now we are lucky, maybe few of our players are like that in the national team. But during your time, is it a little bit of luck also?
Luck is, I would say luck is also part of it, but I will tell you that in our generation, we have a lot of good talented players in that team. You have like a good goal scorers and everything, but like I would say, always I would say that the discipline wasn't there. So that is honest assessment for me. Discipline wasn't there, but we have the talent, we have the brilliant players in the team. You have the likes of Mustafa, Ebusila, Jadal, Omar. So we have good talented players in that team, but the problem was always the discipline. That's what was lacking then.
Okay. In terms of football also, if you look at some of the teams that we played, the likes of Ivory Coast, the likes of Cameroon, these are teams when they used to play the Gambia, at most, even before the match, you can say 100% Ivory Coast is going to win, 100% Cameroon is going to win, 100% maybe Guinea, unless somehow we get a draw, but usually we get defeated. Looking back recent years, the gap is really closing to a point where you play against a certain Cameroon, you draw against them, or you sometimes even defeat them. You play against Tunisia, you win against Tunisia. These are results that were expected 10, 15 years ago when you played against them, whether it's in the qualifiers or some other matches that you played against them. Seeing that improvement now, maybe if you can just gauge a little.
I will say it's down to maybe now we have talent, but it's not only talent nowadays, because we have also good coaching also. So before, like, you have all the maybe sport department behind the team to give them more analysis on everything they are doing. Those days it wasn't like that. So nowadays, like even the national team now, 2 days even before the game, even the players travel to come, they have all the information what we need to do or what they are expected to do. So it's different now than before and now. But now we have talent that can compete at that highest level also. And the other advantage that is coming now, most of the players now in the national team have been playing from the grassroots, from the since like the U team, U17, 20 coming up, and most of them also, 90% of our players also played in the league here. They are homegrown. So that cohesion also has been there now. So they are not like, sometimes I even, like yesterday I was talking with the coach on this. We have a young team, but if you look at them, how their mindset is and how they think mentally, you think like you have like a players like 30 or 28 years old players. But at 19, 18, 20, anytime you see it, everybody want to push themselves. They are challenging. If they don't make it to the pitch, they are annoyed. So that's a good thing every coach wants to see. You want to see angry players on the pitch or on the bench. So that is something that the mentality now has changed a lot. It's not about their age, but it's their mindset now. That is something positive. I will say that is something that is changing now, and the results are coming with that as well.
Well, Gabon is a country that we have to talk about. You played against them as a player. Of recent, we were paired with them in the World Cup qualifiers previously, AFCON qualifiers. In fact, in the last AFCON, we lost them 2-1, and then they came over here, and the game was a 2-1 win for the Gambia. Lots of matches between us in recent years, but some animosities due to factors way back. 2012, when we had a friendly with them, I remember Mustafa Tuabo Jajo at the time, was stoned, and then he was even injured. The same Gabon, when they visited here during the COVID, issues with COVID protocols, they were treated in a way at the airport. That's what they claimed, but it's down to the COVID protocols. Some of them went on the floor, took pictures, and then it went viral. Aubameyang inspiring the whole thing. And it's the same Aubameyang was on the headlines when we recently played against them. Well, in the 4-3 game where they won, Aubameyang scored a quadruple. We saw from the TV pictures, that's highly unlikely or very unbecoming of Abdou Jammeh, always a cool, calm guy. But sometimes in football, those things happen. Take us through what happened.
No, actually, that's football. Sometimes emotion might be high, but like what happened the last game was like the assistant coach provoked. He was like provoking the players because he even came after the final whistle. I think they didn't understand the interview the coach made before the game. So coach made like something. They asked him about whether there's like a friendship. He said no. If you look at the past history between us and Gabon, there is no like a friendship. But that doesn't mean that he's saying them to be aggressive. But they take it personal.
Yes.
After the game, one of their players just came to. I was working with the coach. We were just going to handshake their bench nicely, like normally after the game. But the guy just came in and started insulting the coach. You don't know, So that's why. That's what happened. That's why all the players were reacting. But it wasn't like they provoke us on that aspect of it.
Okay.
But I think they misunderstood the coach and the interview because they are French-speaking people. So if you hear some interview, somebody making English, maybe you might interpret it wrongly. So I think that might deceive them also.
Okay. You're the assistant coach of the national team. These players are people that you get very close to. In terms of your role, but let me reflect back a little bit. Of recent, you did your coaching program. You have your UEFA Pro license, and aside from that, you also have other coaching certificates. And even currently, as we speak, you are doing a program. You always never stop in terms of improving yourself as a coach. take us through that journey of becoming a coach, from retiring from football. You could have done something else, but you decided to become a coach.
Everything started back in 2017. So it's been like since 2017 up to date, I've not stopped even 1 month from learning. So I'm just always doing something else. So I started like when I completed my career, one of my last coach from when I was playing in Malaysia is a German guy. So he first contacted me when we have a discharge. We were talking. He said, "Okay, I have coached you before, but I think you can be a good coach in the future if you." But I wasn't thinking like that. But he wanted to use me before as a scout. So at some point, I was doing scouting for them around Eastern Africa and Central Africa and Uganda and all those things. So even in Gambia also, I was doing some scouting for them because they were thinking to like build an academy somewhere in Ghana. So they want my input to help them on that. But yeah, that's the story. That's the story. So that's how my journey started. I started from the UEFA B as a professional career. I started from UEFA B, then UEFA A, then elite course. I started my elite course before coming to under 23. Then they contacted me to come and take the under 23. Then I have to stop the UEFA elite course. Then I came here for 3 months. Then when after that completed, I went back. I just applied for the UEFA Pro. I was accepted in the UEFA Pro. So yeah, completed the UEFA Pro. Then I was thinking to do something also because like I think like my history also, because I was like brought up by a teacher. So and this every time I think about how I started my journey, I wanted to at least do something from schooling to have that. That was always my dream. I was never focusing on football. But I think like I would not stop learning until I have that highest certificate or diploma in something like education to the highest level, whereby I can show it to my auntie who brought me up like a teacher. It was like I was raised in Banjul, like a 63 Hagan Street since I was 4. So I was going around with her every day. She was a teacher. I was traveling with her all over the places. So I think I have to do something for his legacy also, because that motivates me every time I see an opportunity to learn. Then I have to go more. Now I'm studying like sports management and coaching at the Hagahelia University in Finland, like a bachelor. So that's the starting point of it. So probably, but at some point I need to stop a little bit, because that's my promise I made to my family, especially my wife. Because it's been like 7 years continuously without stopping. So it's been like one course to another, one course to another. So I think at some point after this course, I might sit back and at least focus on something else again.
Yeah, and coaching is both the theoretical aspect and also the practical aspect of it. During your practicals, I covered one of your sessions. You were with the under-23 team, and locally you help some of the coaches, some of the players as well. You've worked with them. Tell us about that experience, coming back home, and that is where your assessment was done.
Yeah, I will say UEFA license courses are very expensive. I will say if I reflect on what I spend on coaching, it's almost close to 50,000 euros. Because even coming to do my pro license here, I have to fly my instructor. It was on me, but through the help of the federation, they supported me on some aspect of it. But I do the financing together with them. They support me to at least sometimes host the instructor, maybe pay the hotel for him and the air ticketing, and I was paying my fee. So it was a good experience, but it was very difficult, very tough. For 2 years, you've been going back and forth, and it was very challenging because it was never easy to be in the UEFA Pro. Like I was like the only African guy in that course, and together with the home group. So it was very challenging because when I first applied it, that was the question they asked. Are you going to do your pro license in Europe or because you have to do it at your home level? But at some point I was thinking it's going to be very expensive to move around here to do my pro license, but I did it. Thank God today that was a past, that was in the past now. I completed it. Now I'm focused on my bachelor's I'm doing now at the university now.
And you coaches, I understand once you do your course, you get your certificate, that's not it. You have to be active, and your license is subject to renewal, and also depending on what you are doing currently. So that should be very tough.
Yeah, because like football is evolving every day now. So like I was saying to people now, for instance, my generation, the generation before me, maybe they don't have this. The UEFA have been, the things have been changed. The model have been changed now. Even the pro license, it's only 3 years, so I have to renew it again. So by the time maybe by 2030, there will be new things in the UEFA Pro. So I have to either do the refresher course again to get my license back, or I have to do some course. Maybe who knows? Maybe 2030 I'll go for masters with what I'm doing now, at least to get more knowledge on management and leadership. But football is changing every time, so it's a continuity. But the funny part is like when I went to the school now in Haga, it was like for them surprisingly, because that also shows how footballers don't take education before seriously. Not seriously, but we don't have the opportunity to go to university to do all our coaching or all the studies we need to do and get the certificate before we finish our career. Because they are surprised. For the first time, I was the only coach who came to the university with pro license and doing the bachelor's degree. It used to be like they have the bachelor's, then have come to the university to have a pro license in the future. But I'm the only guy they have ever have in the university who have the pro license now doing the bachelor. So that shows you how backward we are as a player. Sometimes we don't get our education seriously until we finish our career also. But it's additional to me also, because that also give me a good CV at the university. Now they are relying on my knowledge also, and it's a good thing also because the Finnish Federation have a link with the University of Haga Helia University. So when I was doing the UEFA Pro, all the modules I've been going through from the leadership and management, now coming to Haga Helia, I'm seeing the same professional or lecturers in front of me. That's a big thing for me as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you look at your past, now going into the future, you are currently assistant coach of the national team. You've coached the under-23 sides for some stints, and you've played in some matches. Looking at footballers' competition in the local league, your assessment of Gambian footballers, let's say at the national team level, yes, maybe, but let's get it locally.
Okay.
So these are players rawly from the league, and then you gather them together. They played in the CHAN qualifiers, let's say twice. In terms of getting that level to the next level, competing amongst our neighbors or in the sub-region, what are some of the missing links in terms of coaching our players, what they need to have to adjust them, to move them to the next level?
Yeah, I think this is a difficult conversation. People are shying away from it, but I think at some point we need to talk about these things. For me, my personal experience, I will say it from myself, because anytime you hear player A make excel to maybe pro license, or maybe to be to excel to maybe to sign a professional contract, you will hear one, maybe 5, 10 coaches will say I developed him, but that I will say that for me personally, I don't take it that's a joke, I will say, because I will take an example from myself. When I was going out from here, but one thing Gambian players have, there are 4, let's take an example from our key players. Let's say, for instance, Yankuba. Hadn't been Yankuba was brought up European, he has been developed in the UEFA, culture, let's say, in the environment in Europe for maybe 8 years. Yankuba should have surpassed where he is from now. But the problem is here, the coaching center here is very, very, it's hard to say it, but it's very, very low, because, I think we have to sometimes sit back and see what we can do to at least improve our model a little bit, but it's far behind, because, if you are developing a player, here we focus more on the athletes than the human being. So sometimes when you are developing somebody, it has to be both, vice versa. But some of the coaches, they will just train the players, that's the end of it. And if you are developing a player, like I said when I was doing the multi-sport a few days ago, I was assigned to do a clinic. So I did a phase of play. So the assistant, one of the lecturer asked me, why do you use this difficult one instead of the maybe basic passing drill? I said, no, people will think passing drills, if I'm a teacher, I was a talent coach as well. When you are training a player to develop his technical abilities, or let's say the passing drills, it's more difficult than playing a small-sided game, to coach a player with a small-sided game. If you don't know it, that is because if somebody has to play like a passing drill, I have to show him all what he has to do. So this can take me maybe the full day or full, let's say, 3 months on how to how to kick the ball, how to pass the ball, your structure, your angle, and everything have to be details, and you have to speak to him on all these things. And in Europe, what we do most of the time, when you are developing players, you have this one-on-one conversation with him with the video file on it, to at least to help him, to teach him more. But back here, players, it's not only Gambia even, it can be most of the African countries, but that's how Senegal is ahead of us. But Senegal, what they did is like most of the academies have this intertwined with the professional, like let's say UEFA teams like in Metz and or let's say in France and all those things. So they share the expertise from maybe from those areas to come here. Like even here, you ask an academy. A few years ago, you have an academy. Where is your plan? Like let's say your player part or your model or your philosophy or your vision of your academy. I will tell you, maybe few will just show you this, not many will show you this. And these are the details you need to guide the player, to develop the player. You need all those tools in box, at least from the one stage to another. But here, our players, okay, the social content, social aspect also help African players, especially Gambian players. We all go through, mentally we are all okay because you are always playing with your senior players and the atmosphere, the environment is very challenging. That helps you to grow mental also, and the skills are there also. But to know the football and to know the real education, football education, we are lacking. We are far behind on that. And that has to go down to the grassroots. It's not like it's not from the national team is just like the finishing part. But if the player, we struggle even at the national team sometimes with the U17 and U15. Some certain players will come, you struggle to develop them. Their technique, they are not ready yet. Yeah. So on the national team, let's take an example with the under-17. Probably you don't have a time with the players to develop them, because in developmental aspect, as a youth developmental coach, it can take you 3 months to develop one phase of the game. So let's say first, like a whole 3 months, you'll be training like, let's say, the first phase of the game. The second 3 months, you'll be training like, or the whole academy will be training like, let's say, the second part of the game. Then the last phase will be like another team. So the whole year, you'll be developing the game aspect of the game, stage by stage, for 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you analyze those, you do the evaluation and do the reflection of the player one on one to at least tell you this is missing or A or B. So when they grow up, they understand everything about football. But here it's difficult. Players don't have that with their coaches here.
Yeah, that's a very, very difficult aspect of the game. And, you know, just like Abdul Jammeh said, we'll look at that in greater detail as well. We'll take a short commercial break, and when we come back, the discussion continues. My guest is Abdul Jammeh, T-Boy, former national team player. He captained the Gambia, and now he's the assistant coach of the Gambia national team, the men's team, the Senior Scorpions.
Gambia, are you ready for something big?
From your trusted GSM operator, QCell, your favorite app just got a major upgrade.
From your phone to the world, buy credit, buy Sunu bundle packages, loan credit with eFankanta, and buy Q Power all in one place.
And here's the real upgrade. Q Money is now fully integrated in the app. Send money, pay bills, save money, so faster and easier than ever.
And for our entertainment lovers, stream QTV, Q Radio Live anytime, anywhere.
But that's not all. This upgrade also brings enhanced security features, smoother performance, and a brand new interface designed to save your time.
This is more than an app.
This is freedom at your fingertips.
Download the new QCell app today and unlock your digital life.
For more information, call our customer care on 111.
QCell, Sunubus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. This is Qsports, and I am Mamadou Gajaga. My guest on the show today is Abdul Jammeh, T-Boy, commonly known to many. He used to play for the Gambia national team and captain the team. Now he's one of the assistant coaches of the senior men's team, the Scorpions. And they're about to play an international friendly with the Republic of Kuwait. Kuwait is a country in which I think Abdul Jammeh played before. And still, we were talking about coaches, developing players. I've attended a few of your sessions. You don't call your players and shout at them. You don't yell at your players. Maybe sometimes when the game is tense or so, I might not attend your proper assessment of your players or in terms of coaching them. That aspect of a coach, and you just allow your players to make mistakes and learn, and then you talk to them during halftime, or sometimes, if it is necessary, you have to be a certain Mourinho type.
Yeah, that I would say, for instance, now I think like as a coach also this is something I'm trying to develop balance now, because even when I was creating my philosophy this on the program I'm doing with the bachelors now, I always say that my values and my coaching philosophy and my values are changing now, because like I have experience coming to Africa. Yeah, it has to go with the intercultural relationship. So the cultural aspect, environment aspect of it. Because for instance, in Europe, the way I'm coaching there, when I was in Finland, if I want to use the same method and style in Africa, I will tell you 90% I'm going to fail. Because you have to, in Africa also, you have to have the fire and the water aspect of it in the coaching part. But in Europe, like say in Finland, the values and the norm, certain things there are values and the cultural aspect of everything. You have to know how to balance those things. But if you want to use the same method back in Africa here, it's going to be difficult. You're going to be fair. I think that was something I learned from my previous engagement with the national team. So I think now I will learn very well, because sometimes we give those like advantage to the players to learn from them, for you give them the space to at least grow for themselves or to learn from themselves. But no. In Africa here, it's like you have to be on the players to give them all the details like that. So which is something, is a cultural problem also. I don't think, because, we leave the players from where they are coming, it's from basically where, if the player is A or B, it's like with the coach, you are like more autocratic, let's say autocratic coach, whereby you decide everything. You don't involve the player in anything. So even at the national team level now, certain players now, when we are having the discussion, you're having a one-on-one discussion with them, they are very shy to talk, because they are not used to having those conversations. But in Europe, even a small guy in the academy, youth players, they will talk to the coaches. Whatever they think it's like they want to say, they will say it. But here, the people outside, because they are not used to those kind of conversations. I think that is one thing also. I think the players need to adjust themselves on that. But it's not like, you cannot blame them that it has to start from the grassroots, where your development, where you started your career from. So, but if not, you don't have that, let's say, you don't involve the player in this, like, let's say, autonomy environment, it's going to affect them until their professional career, because they are not used to those kind of atmosphere, whereby the coach, in here, coach decide everything. If he say A is A, if he say B is B. And that's not a good style of coaching also. At least you have to, this allowing the players to at least involve in the let's say the goal setting, when you are making things, you involve them in your session plan and all those things. At least this motivate the players, and this give them the more confidence that they are part of the team. So that at least that aspect of that type of coaching also, I think many of us here back home, we need to adjust from those kind of coaching situations also. At least to give the autonomy type of coaching, whereby the players have to say in whatever you are doing.
Okay. You're now the assistant coach of the national team. Tell us what your role would be. Is it to help the coach in his assessment, or sometimes you could do suggestions and then he will think about these things, whether to take it or not? Or tell us, because when you say assistant coach,
the good thing, first of all, the coach, I'm very grateful to him, because like somebody when we apply for the job, the same thing, like the same for him also. But to put you in his technical stuff, that sounds a lot from him. I think he's somebody very open. But like my role at the national team is very limited, because I'm an assistant coach. But the mindset back home here, they think assistants have a power to do anything, whatever. Now I'm working for somebody, and I don't want to at least do something he didn't delegate me of doing A or B. So I'm working for him, I'm assisting him, I'm giving the supervisor, I'm advising him if he seek my advice. So like he delegate me what A or B or A, B, C to do, so then I do that. The other thing I do mostly is more of like scouting players and check on players, how they are doing and all those things. Those are something I do very frequently every weekend, to check on players, what they are doing and what stage are they. Either they played in the weekend or yes or no. So I have to do those kind of reflection every week. But I think I'm doing what I'm told to do, when I'm asked to do the position he gave me. I think I'm helping him on those aspects as well. But it's difficult because we have two assistant coaches, so he decides who will do A or B. So that's not a problem.
Exactly. Yeah. And in terms of performance, recently World Cup qualifiers. Previously it was AFCON qualifiers. That game against Comoros, and of recent the World Cup qualifiers. We are one of the best teams in the qualifiers in terms of goal scoring, attacking wise. The Gambia scored 27 goals in 10 matches. but again conceded 18 in the World Cup qualifiers. One of the poorest defense if you do the analytics and the defending aspect of it. If you look at it, it's only the likes of Djibouti, I think Somalia, and these, let's say, smaller nations who conceded more. And also in our group, of course, Seychelles, I think they should be somewhere minus 52 goals or whatsoever. They conceded in every game that they played. So looking at this, how would you assess the qualification?
Yeah, in coaching, we'll say not success is not always about winning, but you take the failure part is we didn't qualify, but it's about time now. Like we have more time now. Now against, let's say, September, before we have the, let's say, the competitive tournaments coming up, the qualifier. So we will sit back and reflect on what we have done, either positive or negatively, to analyze those things and try to rectify them before that time. I think we have a lot of windows to come in. So for the first one is coming in November. So we have before September, probably we will try to at least fix. And also the other problem is you can remember we are from a transition. So it's not that easy also coming from a defensive team to an attacking team. So of course, even the formation also have been changed a little bit. So you can see we started with 4-3-3, now we are playing at the back, we are playing with back three. So all those things, we need to adjust those things and reflect on it. Probably before the proper qualifiers, I think the players will gel at least. Now also you can see, if you look at the team now, we are having 3-4 young players coming up. Before maybe September, they'll be more experienced, because if, let's say, for instance, CD or what is the name, the other guy, Yaya, if they can play, let's say, 5 games between this cup before September, then the confidence and the maturity will grow. So probably before that time, we will have at least a solid team to represent us.
I know it's not entirely in your hands. You, as coaches, your job is to get the players, give your mentalities and everything that you want them to play. But when it comes to the administrative aspect of it, that is completely off your hand. The lack of playing at home, how did it affect the team in terms of the qualifiers aspect of it?
Difficult to say, because this is something which is not under our control. But I know for sure every coach wants to play at home, so that at least give a little bit of advantage. I think this is the same thing for us also. We would have loved to play at home, but like I said, it's some things that are not under your control. You cannot do anything under it. But for sure, playing at home will give us a little bit advantage, and the games we lose, or probably the game we drew, probably at home with let's say the 10% of the fans adding into the support of the players, probably we might win those games also. But I hope before the next qualifiers we can have our home games here.
Yeah. And if you look at the past qualifications, some of the matches we played, big nations in African football, the current champions, Cote d'Ivoire, they won in both legs, of course. The first one 2-0, the second one 1-0. If you look at the margin, yes, 3 points is 3 points. It doesn't matter how well you played or how badly you did defensively. But the Gambia didn't perform badly against Cote d'Ivoire, especially the return leg in Abidjan.
Yeah, what matters after the 90 minutes is the points and the 3 points they get. So the coach always said, now that's our focus now, because I think the grouping also didn't favor us, because we came from the pot 4. So that's our main target now before next qualifiers, at least to be in pot 2. That also doesn't guarantee us that we're going to qualify, but at least it will give us a fair seeding before the tournament, before the qualifier. So that's what we are focusing on now, at least to get a good ranking before the proper qualifiers or before the balloting around June. So that's what our focus is more now. Probably that will give us an edge a little bit before next qualification.
Okay.
But the good part will help us, because if you look at these past qualifiers, we are we came from pot 4, which is very difficult. You have teams that are at least a little bit above us on the ranking, so that is also a disadvantage for us.
Football, sometimes emotions play in. For me, the last game against Gabon, not the last game, but let's say the penultimate game, for me, I would have definitely loved for us to win against Gabon, even in fact prevent them from even having this opportunity of getting into the playoffs. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Well, for you coaches, I don't know how you were feeling at the time. That yes, we know we are not going to qualify, but Gabon is a country that we have a little bit of history with. So this is a must-win game. Somehow we were leading, and then somehow things didn't go our way. Well, of course, you were talking about the experience aspect of the defense. I know Omar Colley was a big miss. Serif Senyan was a big miss at that back four. You had to play in some new players who haven't played together. That was their first time.
Yeah, I think even those players, they did their best. At least they prepared very well to at least win that game, because everybody knows how the history between us and Gabon, and I think they were prepared. They did everything right until what happens before we considered those goals. I think we also have chances to kill the game that we didn't do, so at least they capitalized from our mistakes and punish us. So at the end of the day, they collected the 3 points. Fair enough to them. We have to respect them on that. But at least we were the better side, especially on the first half, to at least kill the game. But we didn't do it, then we were punished. So they deserve the 3 points. That's all I can say.
Okay. For a feature of the national team, you as assistant coach, I'm sure there are a lot of things that you are impressed with the way the team plays. And do you expect some of the mistakes that happened in these past qualifiers, both for the AFCON and the World Cup qualifiers, could be used as a springboard in the next qualifiers to help the team?
You know, as coaches, sometimes it's also difficult. We just cannot say that with next qualifiers everything is going to go smoothly. But what we are trying to do, at least to make something like to build something solid before the next qualifiers, at least we can present a very good solid team to represent us. But yeah, it's not only down to coaches, but we do our effort to at least support the players, to guide them, to bring them, to give them the best support they needed before the game. So, but at the end of the day, what we do, we present like 11 players again to the game, so they have the task to do. But we will do our best. We will reflect on all what happened. But if you can see now, at least now, we are trying to stabilize the team a little bit. You can see we are not changing the team often like before we are doing. So we are trying to bring 1 or 2 players, at least to have a core before, let's say, the qualifiers, we'll have a solid team. So that's our main focus now, not like before starting we are trying to find a team, we are trying to at least balance every time, but now it's like a stability. We are trying to stabilize the team, at least maybe let's say before the next qualifier, to have 8 players playing together every time, or having not even playing every time, but being in the same camp all the time. That will at least have a good cohesion in the team. So that's something we are trying to build now before the next qualifier.
For any solid national team, your players need to be at their best at their clubs. How does that help in terms of national team getting the results? Of recent, we've seen so many Gambian players who are playing for their clubs week in, week out, regularly. Years ago, fitness used to be a problem. You have players who basically are fringe players. They come into their teams, their club, not having much time in terms of competitive level. But of recent, we've seen that has improved a lot.
Yeah, this is something we as a technical staff, I think we welcome it, the challenges, the competition that we are having. Like now, for instance, in our slide, in our seat chart, we have like let's say over 200 players we are monitoring every week. So even now, yesterday I was talking with the coach. We are talking about now the second phase of the developmental players that are 17, 18, like those teams. So probably before the next even proper qualifiers, we can see different phases coming up, because the players are. To be honest, Gambian players are doing best. They are doing very well, and I will credit the clubs here and also the agents that are moving the players. But there are certain players. Just a few months ago, I saw them in the league. Now I'm seeing them performing at the highest level. So probably before the next qualifiers, they might be in the team. So it's a national team. We always want the best players. So that's our main goals, at least to give chance to all the players, and the players that are playing for sure, as the coach says always. So we want the best for the national team. So, but we cannot also, there are certain team players also, people will say, sometimes I will get a call, do you know play A, B, C, D? I say, this is my job, you cannot tell me what I should do. But there is no Gambian player, or there is no, even not Gambian player, but suggested even that the player is a Gambian player, we are monitoring him. Even a few days ago, we got a call, like, we got a player playing for, the player playing with, what is the name, Yusuf Asanya. They said he's a Senegalese, but he's born in Gambia, Kunkujan. That's a news for us. So we start to at least monitor him to find out where exactly he's a Gambian. Then we start to approach him. So, but we are doing our best behind the scene. We are trying to look at all the players and then evaluate their performance. But it's very difficult also. What we do always is like player like Kajaga and myself and you play the same position. We try to evaluate you, both you and you, not like looking at the, let's say, this like goal score. You look at what player A, B, C, but that's not analytic. That's not analytic. that's not how you analyze players. We look the players basically what we want to see from them and what we needed in our game style. If they fit that position, we at least make a good comparison between players that give us the idea or the choice to select player A or B is above player C. So it's not like we are not doing that effort. We are doing that, but the comparison sometimes give edge to another player than the A you think why he's not in the team.
Maybe Abdul, on a final note, you can talk about developing players. We would want our players to reach at the highest level, and that cannot go without developing the players. You've touched on it a little bit, developing the IQ of the players, their understanding of the game, where to position. Sometimes you get a player who goes up to the under 20 level, he finds it difficult to control the ball, he finds it difficult to pass in the right positions, his movement is questionable sometimes, and these are things that the person should have learned from the basics, from the grassroots, at the under 9s, at the under 10s, under 15s, under 17 level, maybe in just summary.
Probably in the, let's say now, it's coming up now, it's getting, things are changing. Like for instance, like check under 17 now, most of the players are coming from the academies. So probably that might change. But the problem now, the main problem we face is the knowledge of the coaches. Because like for instance, you look at the, let's say you go to Academy ABC, you find the technical director, somebody they call a technical director is a C license holder or D license holder. How can that guy direct me or how to coach or how to even write a program for me to do if he is a C or D license holder? So these are some things we need to check also. People want to handle positions and they don't have the knowledge. So we have to be honest to ourselves. So football is not that easy how people think it is. But the clubs and agents are doing their best, but the players are struggling, the players are suffering because even they go up to the highest level, they're lost in the long run because they don't get the good nurturing from the grassroots or they don't get the good coaching. So it has to do with our model we are using here. So I think from the technical department to everybody, we need to at least work on a good structure or a good model whereby the coaches that are going for C license or D license or A license will get a good knowledge too. Because even at the, I will say even here, our league is more of like a developmental league. Even at the first league, the coaches are coaching players like 17, 16, 18. So they have to have a good knowledge of how to develop players from the grassroots or from the youth level. So if without that, the knowledge, if we don't have the good model from the coaching aspect of it, it's going to be the same history. It's going to be the same problem.
Abdul Jammeh, I celebrate you. You've served this country with distinction. Captain of the team, like I said previously, played for the team, now assistant coach. I'm super proud of you and thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you, Gajaga. I think we see ideas. I think we've been this together as coaches and journalists are always friends in this game. So I think without you, I will also not be here. So I want to thank you also for giving me the opportunity at least express my story or to talk about my story and my career as well. So thanks to you and your staff also and your group, technical staff and the audience as well.
Thank you very much. And that's Abdul Jammeh, assistant coach of the Gambia national team. Until we come your way next week, keep on sporting and bye for now.